Thank you for staying with us now. Joining us to look at this topic, that's the restructuring of Nigeria that a lot of people have been calling for, is Jude Egbas. He is a news editor with Pulse TV. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Yeah, glad to be here, Vic.
Of course. So let's begin with the restructuring debate. Some are saying no, we shouldn't. Some are saying yes, we should. But the thing is, a lot of people don't even understand what we're restructuring. So what first are we restructuring?
I think the way Nigeria has been running for quite a while now, since the 1999 Constitution was worked on, is a pseudo-federalism kind of arrangement where Abuja takes all of the money and then all state governors go cap in hand. They call it federal allocation meetings, and they go to collect money from Abuja. That's not the way a federation works. In a federation, the federating units are financially autonomous. They make their money and then they decide what the center gets. So we haven't been running a federal structure the way we pretend we've been running. So we've been running a unitary system of government couched in federalism. So that's what we should restructure. And for me, it's more about fiscal federalism than anything else.
Well, yeah, so that's another contentious issue, the fiscal federalism. What does that mean?
It means that every state should be autonomous. Every state should generate its own revenue. And if you ask me, all the 36 states in this country can generate revenue. But for a long while, we've been so lazy. We've been depending on oil revenue to fund all of the states. And we are still doing that. The price of oil has plummeted in the international market. Nigeria has to fiscally restructure because that's the only way out right now. Every state has to be innovative. Every state has to make its own money. But for a long while now, you will agree that hasn't been happening.
Well, don't you think that would be like stepping the brakes on perhaps maybe 180 meter per hour speed? Because if, like you said, many states have not been innovative, it will take a while for them to be innovative, start generating revenue internally, to keep up with their salary demands, infrastructure. You have that as well. You have pensions. I think there's a lot to contend with for states to start generating. Don't you think this should be a gradual process first before going headlong into this restructuring?
The thing is that we don't even have the time to say, let's make it gradual. We either do this now or we bust, because at 40-something or a little over $50 per barrel, oil is no longer going to sustain this country. And if you check the West, America isn't even depending on oil anymore. Oil is going out of fashion. There's fracking. Most states, there's a glut in the market. The only way out for Nigeria right now is to fiscally restructure. And the fear I have is that the restructuring you hear out there, it's just political. You hear the likes of Atiku, IBB, who couldn't restructure this country when he was head of state. Different people who were leaders of this country who couldn't restructure are now saying restructuring. My fear is that their demands for restructuring is political.
So what about states that have been degraded by Boko Haram? They're trying to get back trying to gather the pieces of their lives, to come back to normal. How can they cope in this restructuring? How would they fare? How would they meet up with the demands of their daily lives and governance as well?
When I say fiscal restructuring, it doesn't mean that the center will stop supporting the states completely. But look at Lagos, for example. It's a prototype for if like Erofai said the other day, if there's any state that should actually say it wants a breakaway, it's Lagos. And what has Lagos done? It's internally generated revenue. Even if it doesn't get money from Abuja, the state will still run beautifully, and that is what other states should be looking at. I'm not saying every state should be Lagos. I mean, it's difficult with the it's easy for Lagos because of the population size and all of that, and industries and all of that. But at the same time, if you look at every state in this country, there's something they are blessed with. We have to reach that point where states can begin to look at what comes from Abuja as an addition and not something that sustains them. Look at Osun, for instance. For a while, they couldn't pay salaries. A state in the southwest, what
that has been the debate. Like they say they paid, some say they haven't paid.
So what excuse do we have? And up until my fear, like I've said before, is that we haven't been genuine about the restructuring. It's for us, it's all political.
So are we even ready for the restructuring? Is Nigeria ready?
we are not. The reason why a lot of politicians are saying it now, I'm looking at it like something that would be the battle cry for the 2019 elections. That's why you see the likes of Atiku, who has an eye on the presidential election once more. That's why he's talking about
So
it.
what is in it for IBB if you say there is something for it in it for Atiku?
Well, IBB, he's always been a Maradona. He's always up to some game. So I don't know what he's up to, but I don't want to believe they are genuine what they are calling for. They are calling for. I mean, for me, it's if we are honest with ourselves, these politicians who are calling for restructuring haven't helped. Atiku was vice president for 8 years. He wasn't as loud for restructuring as he is now, and we had a 2014 national conference where organized by Jonathan, and 492 delegates after, 7 billion naira after, 12 million naira per delegate after, and Buhari comes in and says he's not even going to touch the report. So there's a lot of politics that's destroying the genuine demand and genuine cry for restructuring.
Well, we have to wait rather and see how that plays out, if indeed it is genuine, if it is for political reasons like you are alleging, but we have to wait and see if that will play out sooner rather than later. And hopefully states will be able to look internally, for resources and begin to generate funds for themselves to, fund governance, fund pensions, and salaries, and infrastructure as well.
Yeah.
But then, Jude Agbas, new director, Pulse TV, thanks for
joining
us on the program today. Well, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back shortly. Stay with us.